Welcome to the Parts and Labor Motorcycle Podcast. It's brought to you by our friends at Biltwell. We're going to dive deep into anything motorcycle related. We're going to introduce you to some of the most interesting friends we know, and we might even try to solve a problem or two. You got a question? That'd be cool. Send us a voice recording or an email. pod@biltwellinc.com. pod@biltwellinc.com. Just kidding. Welcome. We're stoked to have you guys here, longtime friends of the Biltwell brand. We've been longtime admirers of the Claybourne brand since your inception. We've been friends with Jonathan since before he was doing this. We've been friends with Joey for a short time, although almost everyone in our building has grown close to Joey. He's a lovable, laughable, affable character, if you will. He looks like some sort of Fraggle from Fraggle Rock, but he's got a big heart, and he always comes through with, whether it's participating at the Parts and Labor Expo that we just hosted or coming out and making our Biltwell 100 race a lot funner with some good marketing that you guys provide and actually racing it. Joey's become real close to all of us. But let's start with who you guys are and why you're here. We can start with Jonathan over there.
So I'm Jonathan Griffith. I'm co-founder and VP marketing of Calybourne Co. Why I'm here, I don't know. I got the invite, but I guess we'll find out why we're here, to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Well, we need 6 podcasts before we can release them, and we're already running short on guests, if we're being
So
honest. We're only 5 deep.
Your resume.
I guess I'm a pawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we got Joey.
Yeah, I do brand marketing for Calybourne Co. My name's Joey DeRosa, and I guess I'm here to wrap out with some friends and talk shop.
I mean, as brand manager, you should be able to talk about the brand, so that's why he's here.
Yeah, he should. We'll see what he's got.
We'll
I don't know.
see how this
Two
goes.
tests.
I'm not impressed thus far. So Claybourne, it's again marijuana flower. Got good, smooth marketing. What's the backstory on that? How did you get into it? Because I know Jonathan from his past life. We were friends from motorcycles and photography and stuff like that. How did you?
Man, it's kind of a long story. Do you got 3 hours?
We got a minute. Give us the Reader's Digest version. I don't know. Kids know what Reader's Digest is, but hit us with the short version.
Pot was hot. It was a hot topic back in 2016, and when legalization was starting in California, and myself and a bunch of my friends, we all grew up, smoking pot or around pot or whatever. New folks that grew it weren't necessarily tied to that industry or that culture. I guess it was just kind of like, okay, you smoke weed, you drink beer, whatever. But I saw an opportunity with some friends. A buddy of mine, Nick Ortega, who's our CEO now, came to me and asked me if I want to be a part of the company. And so what I did is I helped brand the company, and because I was a designer, still am, graphic designer. So I put all the marketing behind it, put all the look and feel and all the packaging and all that stuff, and we settled on a name, Claybourne, which is actually a good friend of mine, Sam Tracy. It's his middle name.
Okay.
It's a surname. A lot of people don't know that. But I've been wanting to tell that story for a long time. But it's just a middle name of our best friend. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I know anybody with that middle name, first name, last name.
Yeah. It just sounded cool. It's, Claybourne Co. Cannabis, whatever. Has this alliteration of C's. But, we chose that name because we didn't want to be too weed-centric, weed-focused, and we're a fan of surnames, You got, the Fords and all the Japanese companies and shit like that, Harley Davidson, and
stuff like that.
So, just a name that'll, stand the test of time.
Yeah. It is classy, and all your marketing thus far has been real classy, and if people can look at your logo and be like, that's 1996, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bad Boy Club, 1996, whatever. No Fear actually is better. 1996.
For me, dealing on the athlete side of things, I love it because it's just such an easy way for me to get in with athletes. It's not this loud, obnoxious pot, stoner, Leafs, and all this stuff, in the logo. I have guys who not only race motorcycles, but also own an HVAC business and are professionals outside of the track. And so they want to run their sponsors and their support on their work trucks and these things. And I feel like our logo is set to allow them to do that, but also set for, when this stuff pops off and goes fully federally legal, Jonathan's vision for this to be able to sit on people's, coffee tables and not be offensive. Stuff like that.
Right. Well, it seems like you're heading down that track. Yeah, when you say marijuana and you say athletes, you know, it's not that's something new that probably, you know, 20, 40 years ago, although, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was pumping iron and smoking weed. It's not like it's just new, I think, in the public line of sight. So being able to talk about that, like you mentioned, having somebody has a company and then they can have a cool logo on their truck and not get sweated for it, even if it was something, you know, offensive like a pot leaf, it still wouldn't be that big a deal these days, you know.
Yeah.
And nobody would be surprised that your guy fixing your air conditioner also smokes weed once in a while, you know, or the guy that's, you know, Colby Raha jumping 1,000,000 feet in the air.
Exactly.
Blazes as well. So no one's going to be surprised. It's not as a backroom, secret, hidden as it once was. So it makes sense.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah.
So how 2016? That's when you guys started.
That's about when we like the idea kind of came up,
Okay.
right? Then we kind of assembled a team of some folks that didn't end up being with the company, but that was in about 2017. And so what ended up being the co-founders, you know, aside from myself and Nick, also our buddy Brent, and the three of us, we kind of pooled our collective powers, I guess, together to make this team happen. I come from a branding and marketing and graphic design background and photography, right? Nick comes from an engineer background and operations background, and Brent comes from a cultivation background. So you kind of have this like trifecta of what you need to start a company, as far as product, operations, and marketing.
Yeah.
And we decided to go for it, you know?
Sounds like a good partnership. It's working out so far.
Yeah,
right?
it has, yeah.
I don't know. How do you gauge how good you're doing? How many markets you're in? Sales?
Well,
you know, we don't need to disclose sales, but I mean, how do you gauge it? It seems tough, especially since it's still not legal all across the board.
It depends, man. I mean, there's a bunch of KPIs, key performance indicators for folks that aren't in business. That's stuff I learned. I'm probably going to drop a lot of business terms now, but.
Man, you don't got to flex just because you're on a podcast. We get it. You're a smart guy, dude.
I'm just trying to say.
I've seen how many F-250s you got. We get it. You're rich. You're balling.
They're
okay.
F-350s.
Yeah, F-350. My bad.
And they're 25 years old.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, at the end of the day, there's profit, right?
Yeah.
And but you know, there's a lot of other things that we're gauging: our sales, right? How many stores we're in.
Yeah, how many states you're in?
Yeah,
how many states you're in now?
we're in. So, well, currently we're only in one state, but we are international, I guess is the term. So we just launched in Canada about 2 months ago.
That's got to be a big deal because, you know, I don't partake in the marijuana any longer, but I did a long time ago, and Canada's always been at the forefront. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of been where all this stuff started. It's where, you know, the Cannabis Cup was always held, you know, like that. That's ground zero as far as I think, you know, I know enough to know that has traditionally been ground zero. It's probably been reset a few times since then, but yeah, it's got to be a big deal.
Huge deal, man. Huge
a lot of
deal.
regulation too. We know. Flynn and I have been to Canada.
Yeah.
They got a lot of rules up there.
It was a lot of work. It took about 6 months of planning, like actual planning.
Yeah.
Not just talks of it, actual planning, and paperwork and, you know, design and assets.
The logo.
And we had to change the logo.
Logo change.
That granular.
That granular.
Yeah.
A ton of work went into it.
The marketing stuff, you can't, you know, show any animals or characters or evoke emotion or anything. And so
No
even
kids smoking weed.
well, definitely not that.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, pretty much everything we do in California, as far as like using athletes and ambassadors and stuff like that, is just
You can't do it up there.
completely off the table. Yeah. So there's no real lifestyle push. You really have to kind of be a strong product, right? And I think in being there for 2 months now or so, Jonathan, we're in
a little over
rankings,
2 months.
like,
We catapulted to a really good spot.
I think that has a lot to do with having built the brand here. You know, I don't think you could have done it the other way. Start there.
No, and that's some of the issues that, you know,
Been hard.
might be a problem for some of the folks up there right now because you're starting a brand that you can't tell a story with.
Yeah.
So how do you get bigger? You know, how do you make it bigger than what it is?
it's also just a really simple or just a really easy product to stand behind, right? Like, it's a good product. And I think as soon as a consumer does discover it, it just becomes an easy decision on what to go.
Again, I've never
gravitate towards.
partook, but I almost feel like nowadays with a lot of things, the product, like having a good product is like just gets you to ground zero. Like that's like a given, you know. I'm sure there's variations, and I know enough to know that, yeah, there's stuff that isn't great out there, but But there's a lot that is good.
For sure.
You know, there's a lot that is good. I mean, same thing in our motorcycle helmet space that we're in. Man, there's a lot of good helmet companies, you know.
Sure.
There's more than there's ever been, you know. So I imagine that it makes it even harder to distinguish yourself. So marketing and brand feel is even more important because of that. You know, just I think in the old days maybe like, oh, this is killer.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, you rise to the top. Not the case anymore, you know.
Yeah, it's you know, there's a limit of innovation, right? And sometimes you hit that in this industry.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to innovate, and so it's hard to have a unique product. You know, there is a quality. You know, you can stand on quality, but you know, your neighbor can probably grow pretty good stuff too.
Yeah.
And so then there comes in the marketing and the story and being able to, you know, tell that in your own authentic way. And there's not a lot of companies that can do that, honestly, in the space that we're in. You can see through it, you know, if they are trying to tell that story, and it's fake.
Yeah, well, it's investors and people that don't believe in it, and people that don't partake and don't live it. And you know, I know that's been, again, I only reference the brand I know, which is our brand, Built Well. And yeah, there's a couple of us still that ride motorcycles, and
For sure.
we know that we can't try to sell something that our customer's going to think is silly, you know. So someone's got to be able to say, that's silly, don't make that, you know. And luckily we've got a few of those guys kicking around still, and that's how we do it. So I imagine you
It's
guys,
so important for me to be constantly smoking this shit.
It's
okay, we get it. Your boss is here and you need to justify how high you are right now. But
yeah, it's kind of like
I agree.
It's kind of like tattoo shops and bars and stuff. Like you can't. How you gonna own a shop if you've never tattooed or whatever? And how you gonna be a bar owner if you've never bartended? You know. So it's kind of like that. You kind of have to become an expert on the stuff you're selling. You know.
You're lucky you got guys like Joey that are super dedicated and not afraid to put in that work. You know.
Every day, all day.
It's been a blast.
Every day.
It's been a blast. No, for sure.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so you guys, Killer Marijuana Flower Company, based in Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
Just like us, based in Southern California. I think that comes, a lot of your feel come from being, you know, born and bred in this area. But this is a motorcycle podcast.
Yeah.
So why do we have you guys here and are sitting in here?
Well,
You guys have motorcycles?
Yeah, we have
You
motorcycles.
got tattoos, but everybody's got tattoos
everybody's got
nowadays.
tattoos.
Shit.
I mean, we all have a bunch of us have motorcycles that work for the company. But I guess we could start with me. I mean,
Do it.
I had a Sportster chopper, many years ago, and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, and decided to go on that El Diablo run.
El Diablo run. I'm aware. We got one coming up in May of this year.
I don't know if it was
every 2 years. What was that?
I don't know if it was like the 13 or 15 year.
I got that on my list, but you tell the story now.
Anyways,
Yeah.
the motorcycles came first, then the photography and the motorcycles came at the same time. Rather, I liked the motorcycles because of the photographs that were coming out, and
You had good. Your photography was always good. It was clean. Everyone in our building was a fan early on.
Yeah.
You kind of nailed it. You got it. I know you did other stuff for photography, but yeah, we liked your motorcycle photography. It was cool. That's what attracted us to Jonathan.
yeah, I mean that's how I fell into it. I mean that's how I fell deeper into the industry rather, and I linked up with Mark from Rusty Butcher, and that was an amazing time of my life, and where I learned a lot, not only about photography, but creative processes and branding and the motorcycle industry. So things kind of fell in line after that, and stuck with the bikes and decided to bring it in to Claybourne and make it about Claybourne.
Yeah, I would say that's just probably one of the many things that influences you guys. But again, we're motorcycle podcasting guys over here, so that's not obviously what we're going to talk about. But yeah, I get that feel with your brand. It's just all things Southern California, it feels like, and motorcycles is a part of it. And whether it be some of the riders you help out or shops like Ian Eve, and
Yeah.
you guys
100%.
got your eye on.
We just tend to gravitate towards shit. We tend to gravitate towards things that we're just authentically and genuinely interested in, and and if I see some sort of true connection that this product, cannabis, can kind of connect the dots for us, then I'm all about it. If someone's gonna kind of be into our product and we're into what they do, whether it be building motorcycles or working behind a sewing machine. Like, it really doesn't matter if the person's kind of the right vibe and we kind of get on with them, then, you know, it's a really fun story usually to tell. And that's what I love about the product is it's just so wide open with like who touches it and who consumes, you know.
What was cool about even talking about the motorcycle industry and how it relates to, you know, this company, Claybourne, I mean, there's a lot of different types of motorcycle riders out there too, a lot of different types of motorcycles. So we can have, you know, a chopper dude that we link up with and do some, you know, creative work on that. And then you can go link up with a bagger racer, you know, or a, you know, a stunt rider, you know, like the Joey 5.5s of the world and Senders Only and things like that. So, I mean, it's just, you can go just really deep on the motorcycle stuff. And we love all, you know, types of bikes, old bikes, new bikes. We have both old bikes and new bikes. And, so we just love everything that has to do with it, really. And finding a way to incorporate it into Claybourne was kind of one of my goals to, you know, to keep that fire alive, and that love for motorcycles going.
Yeah, I mean, I met Jonathan. I was working for a beer company at the time, and I met Jonathan at Dyna Days, and you know, some kids that were working for me at the time were like, "Oh, there's a weed brand here." And I was like, always being a bigger smoker than drinker, I got to meet these guys. Like, get out of my way. And I remember going across the parking lot, and it was Jonathan and I think Lauren probably sitting with you. One of our sales managers.
Shout out to Lauren. She's one of our favorites.
OGs.
She's cooler than polar bear's toenails.
She is.
Should have got her in here, man. Why
Seriously,
don't we got
I
Joey?
Joey. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that.
You would have had to made it like
you
6
took the words
hours.
out of my mouth.
She's cool, man. She's ridden on some of our EDRs as well.
Yeah, she
man.
has
She
too.
has. Yeah, no, she's a down ass chick, man. She's rad, dude. But yeah, I met Jonathan at Dyna Days, and I just remember.
Shout out Speed King.
Yeah.
Shout out Speed Kings.
And just he kind of passed his card over to me. He was just like, "Well, hey, man, like let's stay in contact." And so yeah, I mean, the whole thing with even just Jonathan and I happened. I mean, I knew who Jonathan was through his work with Mark and Rusty Butcher and that whole scene and stuff. And so, but I mean, yeah, like our relationship literally started at a motorcycle event, and so obviously it's just a huge influence and a part of what we do for sure.
That's cool. Well, I do like the motorcycle aspect and stuff, but how do you guys like? But you got some other cool brand ambassadors. You know what? The bull rider. What's his name?
Yeah, Eli Nicochet.
Yeah, he's cool.
He is. He's a
Seen him ride
local
bulls
boy
at
from
one-
Hemet.
Yeah.
When I first started with the company, Jonathan was just like, "Yo, I think we should get a bull rider." And I just remember being like, "Where am I gonna find a bull rider that smokes weed and then is like down to talk about it?" I was just like, "This seems like impossible, dude." And at the time, some friends of ours were messing around in the bull riding situation.
Mark, Rusty Butcher, shout out Mark.
Yeah, Mark was having some private bull riding events in his backyard, and Eli was one of the guys kind of overseeing it, making sure it was as legit as it could be, I guess, and safe as it could be. And I remember Jonathan sending me out there and was like, "Yeah, there's a kid out there that smokes a gang of weed, and he's smoking not good weed right now, so we need to start taking care of him." And I went out there, and tall, skinny little kid, and just
He had
the
some
biggest chimney in Claybourne, man. This kid's always smoking, always.
I mean, my favorite part about that story is he had this really horrible weed. Like you just see, it was just, I don't even know where it was from.
It was from Hemet.
It was Hemet. But I said, if you take
Shout out to Hemet.
if you take this handful of nugs and you throw it as far as you can behind you, I'll give you this jar or whatever I had. It was probably a gold cut, and he did it, and then that kicked it off.
Oh, yeah, that was the beginning of it.
Yeah, he's a cool, interesting.
I love
guy.
that dude.
I met him
Yeah.
once or twice, and he's doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got big cojones, that boy.
Yeah, we have bull rider. We have a little skate program where we're building this year, getting ready to do some stuff with those guys. Obviously Colby Raha is one of our top athletes, freestyle moto kid that is just off his mind. Messing around the Harley scene right now with distance. So we got a lot of fun stuff planned for him this year, and it's just been a blast. We drift truck kid Gabe Franco that we're going to start supporting, doing more with the Senders Only guys. So yeah,
That's cool. Well, we talked about Jonathan's background, photography and some of that. Joey, where the heck do you come out of? Left field, like you said, you're working for a beer brand. You met him. You worked at a few other places before you're in the alcohol scene, right?
Yeah. I started my career at a company called Soltech, which is a footwear company in the action sports industry, specializing in skateboard footwear. But
yeah, we did collab with 32, and I think they're
you guys done stuff. I think with America as well.
Yeah, the Soltech umbrella, right? I think.
That's
hard to keep up.
Yep, 32, Etnies, America. But yeah, it's just an incredible place. Super fortunate to come up there. I met a lot of great people and kind of came up in the marketing, athlete management side of the department. And
you've been babysitting grown men for a minute.
I've been watching grown men babysit grown men, and then took it over myself at some point. Yeah,
that's how I feel.
but yeah, I
work construction, so I know all about babysitting grown men.
But yeah, it was an awesome time, and I got to do a ton of traveling and met some incredible people who are still friends to this day, still sending skateboarders our direction, and people I still talk to, and so yeah, I got a lot of time there and got to do some travel after I left Soltech, and then came back and kind of got back into the marketing side of things with 805. Yeah. I was there for a little bit, and that's where I met Jonathan. And again, just always kind of, not being a huge, alcohol supporter, doing events where, you show up with a ton of beer and just like watch it disappear and bikes take off and stuff always left me a little sideways. And I
understand that.
And so, I just kind of wasn't always a big fan of that side of things. And once I met Jonathan, it was just always in the back of my head, like, I got to get into the cannabis industry. Like, that's where it's at. And I was just like, if it ever lines up, where they're hiring for a department, for someone in marketing, I'm going to reach out to them. And I was just super fortunate to where, like, right after kind of, I don't say 2021, as the pandemic was kind of whatever it was doing, they had a marketing position open up, and I was able to slide in there, and it's just been like game on ever since, and I feel so fortunate. I've been kind of given I feel like the keys to the city with just like the brand side of things, with like, events, the stories we get to tell, the ambassadors we bring in, Jonathan's always like, kind of like steering me in the right direction and introducing me to new people and putting new things on my radar. But yeah, man, I feel so fortunate with like just the way things have gone and what we've been building,
It's kind of a bummer for you in some ways, because you start at the top. You start at the best brand there is. Really,
I don't feel that way at all.
You can only go down. He gave you the keys to the city, but he didn't give you keys to any company vehicles, man.
Man, I was hoping
you got an F-150 with the ladder rack on it, man.
I was hoping this was going to come up.
I'm not sure that thing will make it out of my parking lot. Jonathan, hook my boy up, dude. How many years you got to put in for you? Yeah, can you get him a van already?
Yeah.
He shows up at my our events, and I tell him to keep his truck running because I'm afraid he's going to break down and jam everybody up.
It's happened before, dude.
I know. So
that's funny because that probably happens to my truck more than.
So let's go ahead and get this guy a van.
Yeah, dude.
I need one too.
Vehicle sponsors watching the podcast.
Them's hard
Walters.
to come by,
Shout out Walters.
Yeah. Shout out. It's auto@beltwellinc.com. Slide in because we need one as well. But,
oh shit.
Shoot.
Whatever, dude. I've seen all the vans and the whatever, dude.
Come on. The only time we get a new van is when we get hit by a truckload of people running people.
Okay.
We got to total the old one before we get a new one.
Really? That happened?
That happened about exactly a year ago. We were at the Prowl and we got hit by some people smuggling down by the border in Arizona. Me and Josh on a quiet Sunday morning.
Man, that's crazy.
So
that's what you get for being in a van with Josh.
Yeah, true. Duly noted. So you got a cool brand. It's in a cool industry. That industry is changing quickly.
Yeah.
Like, do you got lawyers and people that just stay up on all the rules and regulations all the time? How many you got? I would think you probably have a lot more than you got.
We have a couple of attorneys for different reasons. There's a cannabis law attorney. We have trademark attorneys. We have patent attorneys.
Yeah.
So it depends on what we're talking about. But, the laws and regulations, mainly the regulations for California, they've stopped changing a bunch. But there's always updates. And if you become immersed in the regulations, you're kind of always just on guard, right? And so Not any big changes recently, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much different than like coming from beer and alcohol.
Yeah.
It's not much different from beer and alcohol in the way that's approched, but
Yeah, they blazed the trail for that, so now they just switch it over to
a little bit.
cannabis.
Yeah, it's a bit more, and some would even say overregulated, obviously, but it's not much different than how the alcohol industry operates, and I feel like we're lucky. Not that we push it, but we definitely have found our lane, and we don't play a lot in the like cannabis event and like space. We definitely have found our lane supporting, subcultures and other events that we just find rad and we want to be at. And so I kind of feel like just being quiet, respectful of law and doing it our way, we've kind of just organically kind of worked our way into scenes that we want to be a part of and support. And it hasn't really come up too much to where issues other than like maybe a couple products that we've put out that were kind of maybe ahead of their time or something like that, but it hasn't really been.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fortunate for, the state of California kind of letting us run a little bit on being innovative, not only on the product side, but on the marketing branding side of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how you build a brand. So you got to push it a little bit. You got to walk the line, play in the gray area a little bit and see what you can get away with and, say sorry later.
They're still figuring it out too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it's working to your advantage
Sometimes.
sometimes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we talk about some of the wins you guys have had with athletes and ambassadors and events, maybe even. What are some of the losses though? What are some of the challenging things that you face with this cannabis industry? Because I know there's a lot of those too. Speak about social media. What happened to your Instagram?
Oh man,
because that's a big deal.
It was probably 2 years ago that we lost it completely. We lost our account completely, and it was at 15K or whatever. But we lost it a couple times temporarily. Whatever.
It's because they don't know.
They don't. Okay, so like the regulations.
Got a computer checking.
Yeah, the regulations on on Instagram are meta now, in regards to like marijuana is what they call it. It's kind of really vague, and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what rule you're breaking until you break it, and then still they won't tell you exactly what you're doing, and so
you got nobody to talk to about it.
No one to talk to,
Yeah,
and
it's
so
frustrating.
You kind of have to change your strategy from away from like a product based story to I guess a more lifestyle, authentic, brand story on Instagram.
Zuck, if you're listening, man, slide into my boys' DMs. They're trying to get their old account back. They shouldn't have to lost it. Zuck, I know you partake a little bit in the marijuana space.
Mm-hmm.
You're out there, snowboarding and riding waves and all that stuff. You're a cool guy now. Help my boy out, Zuck. All right.
He's a big fan of the podcast.
Oh, yeah. You don't even know
huge
yet.
fan. No, I know.
Huge fan.
You say podcast?
Podcast?
That's what this is now.
I mean, technically today this is a podcast, yeah.
But, we have a new account now, and it's doing very well. And so it is what it is. You're going to take losses no matter what in kind of any industry. And
Moeller lost his S&M bicycles. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it was hacked or what, but he lost his, and I don't think they got it back either.
Yeah.
And it was significant.
I guess
and to be honest with you, like Jonathan kind of started to hint at, it's just led to creativity, right? Some brands know how to really dance around it, being tongue in cheek and using different imagery for weed, or nugs or whatever. And we've gone the route of, like Jonathan said, just telling more story and kind of leaning on our athletes and ambassadors to draw people in and really going the lifestyle route, So
it forces you to solve a problem, and be different. And it's worked out for the better. I mean, you could say that about anything that you run into an issue with, and you get stepped on and pushed down. You got to fight.
Yeah, you learn from the losses, not from the wins.
Yeah, exactly.
When things are great, you don't learn much.
So it's worked out. I don't really think about that account anymore, so I don't really care.
And it was a big learning lesson, right? Yeah. We messed up, and we gotta.
And the other side of things too, I mean, because it is cannabis, you can't track what people are buying. Like you can't buy it, from us, right?
Yeah.
It's not like an apparel company where you can kind of track.
Yeah, you're distributed.
Right. So we're just
can't go to your website. And
it's just kind of an outlet, a media outlet for us. We've been a little dormant, but that's all right. We're gonna come back.
No, you guys have been killing it with your media, man. I don't think so. Right, you got Mark Kirkland doing some stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've done some pretty cool. I mean, all
all of your videos have been really.
No, it's amazing. I just haven't if I haven't responded to your DM, I'm sorry.
You still respond to DMs?
Dude,
I
he's still
tried
on
to-
top.
I
I can't get you to respond to a text.
Dude, he's got to get off
Liar.
on social media.
Yeah. Turn over the keys to that.
I know.
When you're
Someday.
buying Joey a van, turn over the keys to somebody that's 20, not 40. Okay.
Well, we'll get there. That's
happen.
part of it. But that's another thing too. It's like a lot of people think social media is easy and anyone can do it. It's not like that. There are dedicated roles to this stuff these days. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
Not only like as a like someone to manage it, someone to produce the content,
yeah.
and someone to post the things. It's like there's
Your brand's
teams for
feel
this stuff.
comes from that still, and even though it maybe not the most important thing, it's still important. It's a lot of times it's people's first. It's how they get to know you.
Yeah,
you know,
it's their first impression.
There's their first impression.
100%.
It might be their last impression if it's not a good one.
Totally.
You know, so.
But that's okay. I mean,
It's hard to turn over those keys to somebody. I think that's what you're trying to say. And
Well,
Yeah,
and
I understand
Jonathan's really good at it. He's a great photographer. Our page is beautifully curated. Like, he's just really good at it too. You know what I mean? So when he has time and it's done right, it's done really well. And so I think too, just finding the person that can also pick that up and, you know, do it is also something that's not easy.
the trendy stuff I can't get a hang of. I don't know.
Yeah,
I ain't
yeah,
gonna
we're
touch
not-
that. So
yeah,
that's where a
for
20-year-old, 21 rather. You got to be 21 to work for us.
yeah.
But that's where a younger, person would come in and handle that. But again, that changes the tone of your brand, and you don't maybe not want to do that. You know.
Yeah. Silly dances on TikTok. Or,
I'll leave that to Joey's personal account.
I know I always have to look hard to find Joey's personal account, some secret burner thing that he's got with a funny name. All right. What's next? What's going on this year with you guys? You got anything big plans? I see you got some product over there. Do you want to tell us about some of that?
Yeah, I mean we're
Looks pretty
always launching new products.
cool. We could probably back up. You had some cool stuff drop last year. That's when those blunts came out, right?
Yeah, that's when
a
these
big
blunts
deal.
came out. These are super cool. This was a really unique product for us, in terms of not only like the ingredients and things like that, but also the design. I love to use my own photography, not as an ego thing, but like I just know the images like the back of my hand, right? And so
Sometimes it's easier just to go do it yourself as opposed to telling somebody or
for sure.
training them. You know what I mean? You
The
don't just do it.
catalog's already there.
Yeah, we're gonna have I had to dig these out. But what we kind of based this stuff around was kind of flashy paint jobs, whether that's motorcycles or choppers and lowriders and whatever it might be. But we got to integrate that kind of creative direction into this product, and it turned out to led us to some really cool videos that we did with Mark Kirkland, and just
Shout out, Mark.
Yeah, met a lot of cool people just through this product launch. So we launched this back and we had a great, beautiful event at Hall of Flowers, which is a cannabis event in Ventura. So we launched this one less than a year ago, but we're always launching something, whether that be quarterly or whatever is on the docket. But we do have some new stuff coming out, new packaging, new jars. So
Yes, Nike brand ethos 101, innovate or die.
yeah, I mean, it
100%
gives you
innovate or
something
die.
to always talk about, even if it's like an old product. Like some of these strains are older, right? We do have some new ones, but it rejuvenates that product, and gives it new life, and you can talk about it a little bit, more. So
Yeah, I like the blunt wrap packaging is cool and unique. I don't partake, but I see it all in all the shops, and I look and I'm like, most of the stuff's gross, it's either aimed at some 19-year-old kid or whatever age. I don't even know what age you got to be to buy this stuff, but it's aimed at some youngster that just looks like it. It's basically got a Pokemon on it, or it's so indescript that it doesn't attract your eye either.
Well, that's where we try to tell our story, not only through like the content that we produce and the athletes that we sponsor, but also we try to tell our story through the products and the packaging too, right? And so that's just another layer of authenticity that we bring to the space,
Yeah, I think you do it. Those jars, again, I never bought one, I never opened one, I don't partake. But my grandpa always would have these cigar boxes, and I didn't smoke cigars either, but the cigar boxes were cooler than the cigars,
Totally.
I think.
Oh,
and he would
100%.
save those. And I still have some of those, you know what I mean?
sure.
And I feel like those jars are kind of the same deal. You're done with whatever's inside. You're not tossing it. You're probably keeping it.
it's going to hurt me to throw away.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so I think if you have a packaging that's that kind of thing, you've succeeded, you know. And I feel like, man, I would love, Joey, you bring me some of those. Maybe I'll just dump that stuff out and throw it away. But I'll let you know what trash can I put in.
You can sniff it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah, those are like, the packaging is cool. You know, it makes you want to buy it, consume it, and then maybe keep it. You know, and that people, it helps tell your story when you're not around. You know, you got that sitting on a shelf in the shop. Like, oh, what is that? Well, it's a little jar. What else? Claybourne. That's cool.
It's Again, I think it just is like we've as a company and a brand, we've definitely found our identity, and it goes from not just, you know, the product, the people we associate with, but, you know, down to the packaging. And you know, we're super fortunate. A lot of companies are big and out there, but have absolutely no brand identity, especially in our industry, right? Yeah. They might have great flower and they're doing well, but when it comes to who's behind the company or what's the story behind it, who are they, what do you support, what are you about, is nothing. It's a black hole. And so I think, like, you know, we've got the really great product, we've got super great looking packaging, and then you dive a little bit deeper on the company and you get turned on to all these stories and all these different people that we support and that we're about, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The field, a lot of it comes from Jonathan. Obviously, we talked about that in depth. Joey, you do a lot of events, though, and that's when you're customer facing directly. Again, I know this is a rapidly changing space. How do you pick those events? What events are cool and going on? I always talk to Joey about this because I'm super interested, again, having a background in growing some weed when I was younger, you know, and then now doing a lot of events for Builtwell. So I'm always interested to see this rapidly changing landscape, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
potscape, if you will. And I like to hear when you tell me, we went to this event, it was a bummer. You went to this one, it was good, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my whole, like, I guess, approach with us at Claybourne specifically is to, because there's definitely a handful of cannabis events, right, from cups to trade shows, all these different things. But then we also participate in a lot of non-cannabis events. And my whole outlook on it has just been, why be one of 20 cannabis brands there where people are going to walk from booth to booth wanting the free thing, da-da-da-da-da. You're barely a memory. But then if you're the one cannabis brand at a non-cannabis event, everyone, like I did when I found out Jonathan was at Dyna Days, I was just like, there's a weed brand here? Like, what? You know what I mean? And so, like, I want to stick out like that. And I've just been...
So you're going to events that aren't cannabis events, if you can.
And setting up and doing it that. You know, we're super fortunate to have an incredible partnership with Builtwell, to where you guys let us come out, show up. These are events that I authentically would just want to be at as a person who rides and is into the industry. And so it starts there, right? It's just, what's my general interest and where do I want to be? And, you know, growing up going to car shows, going up to Ventura, to the Nationals. Well, now guys putting on the Nationals are friends of mine, so they're open to having us come out to the Nationals. And so it just kind of turns into these things of like, well, what do I want to be at? What do I want to spend my weekend at? Are they open to having a cannabis company there? Fuck yeah, they are. Okay, well then let's go set up. Now we have merch that we're selling. Before, it was really tough to be at a lot of these non-cannabis events because what do I get all day? People coming up to the cannabis booth, of course. Where the weed at? I would be asking the same thing, right? Where's the weed at?
We might have a little bit.
I always have to, if it's the homie, usually there's a little cooler somewhere, but you know what I mean?
That's why we invite Joey to our events.
It's personal stash.
We don't put that on the insurance, but yeah.
But, you know, usually I'm having to direct them, there's a dispensary around the corner, then you figure it out. But, you know, now we have a merch program. So it's like I can show up to these events. I can pay to be there, which, you know, is a marketing spend. And then I can hopefully kind of offset that marketing spend by not being able to sell flower like I could with beer company. You know, you're offsetting your spend by beer sales. Well, now we can maybe set up, bring some merch out, tell people about the brand. They hopefully become a fan of us because we're at something they obviously support and are about. But then also maybe they pick up a T-shirt or a hat or something and walk away supporting the brand that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Dude. Your merch is firing.
Thank you.
Joey shows up in our office with a big box of weed and a big box of merch. And it used to be the guys would fight over the weed. I think people fight over the merch now more because, dude, it's so good. And again, for the 100th time, I don't smoke, but I love all my Claybourne merch, man. I love it, and I wear it all the time. Like, this is my favorite hat. I wear it every day almost. I'm gonna steal one of these sweatshirts from you guys before you leave, and all those shirts you guys did with Jay Cruz, right?
Jay Cruz, man,
dude, so good. You guys brought some of that stuff out to Kernville, and we probably won't let you sell merch this year at Kernville because I think you put a damper on our sales. But all that merch is so killer, man. You guys do a really good job. It's really thought out, and it's on quality gear, just like those are quality jars. I'm assuming, like, you know, that it's all on nice stuff that, you know, good blanks.
Yeah. I mean, it starts with like just having a very, in my opinion, wearable logo, right? The logo's super wearable.
It does start
one
with
of my favorite, as far as a company that I've ever worked for, if not my favorite. And so it starts there, and then just by, you know, being around some of these shows and in this industry, we get turned on to a lot of really rad artists and people that we get to associate with, and
too
whatever.
many, man. You wish you could do something with all of them.
You know,
we're really lucky. We're in a talented space, I feel like, you know.
Totally. And so it was just a natural progression to reach out to one of them. Start with, you know, what we're kind of calling like our evergreen or just logo baseline, where it's just our branding, and then partner up with people like Jason, Bill Fairley, Stay Chill Bill, you know, who's another super talented, just not only graphic designer, but obviously chain stitcher. And so he's working or has done some designs for us. And so just working with people, again, that we just authentically are interested in and think are doing rad things that we want to link up with and see if there's a connection there, you know. And we've been super fortunate and lucky that with a lot of these people, there has been one, and it's just been a blast, you know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that comes from this motorcycle industry, honestly. Like,
straight up.
I met Bill through motorcycles. Jason, I had something bookmarked somewhere, but obviously you guys use him for some art, right?
Yeah.
And he does a lot of art for other
guys. He's been around, but he's
forever. And so that's just again another layer of authenticity, right? If we're gonna do something that involves, if Claybourne Company is gonna do something that involves motorcycles, we're gonna do something that involves the people that are around those motorcycles. So even when it comes to, you know, this photo shoot or this video shoot that we did, we got Mark Kirkland because he shoots amazing films with choppers. And so we hired a guy that
hangs off of bikes and hangs off of the back of trucks and like is the most insane dude with like his 16 mil and like just down, you know? And so like, who better to have shoot imagery and video of motorcycles than someone who literally does it for a living? And again, him and I.
He's killer.
Good on you guys for you know. Having
he's been someone
discerning eyes, spot guys like Mark. You know,
I've been following him for a long time. I mean, there's so many creatives in the industry, right? Like you said, I mean, there's so many. This industry just, you know, bursts. Just allows you to, you know, do what you want to do and express that, you know, through whatever format you do. And I don't know, I knew of Mark for a long time, and finally, you know, I got to use that bookmark, you know, and hit him up. So
it was a fun one.
Well, I don't imagine you guys do all of the work in the building. I mean, I don't imagine Joey does any of the work, if I'm being honest. He's always out messing around.
Smoke the weed.
But who else is important over there in the company, you know, in your building? Or maybe working remote.
I think
that's just a term I'm using.
I don't want to sound like I think everyone's important.
That's what you sound like.
Exactly.
Everyone's important.
But honestly,
you guys are all the MVP.
Yeah,
I did that this year at our.
Here's a pizza party.
Employee of the year at our work this year was everybody was employee of the year. Okay?
No, I mean,
Man,
there's so many.
Come on, name some names, dude. You're passing up an opportunity to shine the light on cool people.
I mean, there's some people on the farm, 100%. I mean, that's at the end of the day, right? We're a flower brand, and
so who makes the flower good? I don't imagine it's Joey.
You know, I think, well, obviously, Jonathan's co-founder, Brent Barnes, is a plant geneticist and kind of where it all starts. As far
shout
as
out to Brent. He's a bad mofo.
He is a bad mofo.
Yeah, shout out.
Dude has plant patents, which I didn't know was a thing. But, you know, he's put things out to the world.
Joey ain't even got a driver's license, and this guy's got plant patents.
You can't even say plant patents.
Yeah,
that's how impressive it is,
yeah,
dude.
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, so, no, we definitely have some insane people on the farm. Jonathan would know better than I, but there's some cool story of people working in fast food places, warehouses for crummy companies that have now started at the bottom at Claybourne, you know, in the cultivation side somewhere, and are now overseeing departments of 40, 50 people, you know, like that alone. How many people are on the farm now, Johnny? Like over 200 people or something?
Oof, a lot. I mean, yeah, a lot. The farm takes up a lot. There's a lot of labor, but honestly, when I say I could talk about the marketing team and shout them out all day, but man, every department is so integral. If one falls, we all fall, and so it's just this collective, you know, team that has to put in, you know, we all have to put in the work, and whether that's the leaders of that team or the supervisors or, you know, the associates or the people on the floor, I don't know, man.
Yeah, we got a boss sales director, this chick Marlene, dude.
Marlene's amazing. Her team, whole team, sales
Shout
team,
out
man.
Marlene.
Yeah.
Never met her.
She don't mess
So-
around.
She's a boss, Joey says.
She is, man. And so, like, I think our sales team operates the way they do because of her leadership, but then also because of, like, the history and the knowledge of a person like Lauren, who's been there since day one, authentically comes from a space. Like, I just remember I've had a coworker at other companies ride and things like that, and working for other brands and people, coming after your brand and talking whatever. And I just remember one of my bosses one time telling me, like, man, don't worry about that. We got chicks here that split lanes. And I just remember being like, yeah, why am I worried about what people are saying? Like, through and through, everyone here is doing it. You know what I mean? Like, about it. Like, there's not some, fake, and stuff like that. And I think, like, yeah, we have people who are just, like, see what we're up to, and, like, we've all gravitated towards each other because we all kind of come from the same interests, the same work ethic, and all truly see the same potential in the company,
We still have a lot of day ones. People have been with us from start. Us being friends, all friends before we started the company, probably helped. I was friends with Lauren and Nick and Brent, and we all grew up with each other. So
Yeah. You hear don't mix business with pleasure.
Yeah.
Man, we've been very successful with hiring friends. We've been very successful with hiring friends.
Yeah.
And I think what you get with people that you've known for a long time. So if you don't like their performance, kind of shame on you,
Mm-hmm.
And like you just mentioned, we've had people that have worked for us. A lot of for a long time, I've been there double digits, and I'm not the only one. There's a few people that have been there double digits. So, yeah, that's cool. I think that's a testament to running a good company and running a tight ship, and then giving people a fun, happy place to work.
For sure. I mean,
because there's a lot of choices out there. People can work all over.
Definitely, and
they can work remote now, so it's like they can work all over. When I was growing up, man, I could have been a truck driver like my dad or a construction worker like my neighbor. Those are my choices.
I mean, and now where
things
we
have
are,
changed.
There's no shortage of big box warehouse.
Oh my gosh,
all the warehouses
Yeah.
going up out in the IE. That's kind of like the community we're in. That's kind of their options, and so for companies like us that it's still a big inside farm and cultivation and everything, but these people are hopefully gravitating towards us in this industry because there's already an interest there in the plant and they're about that. And so I think it's just, if you can if you're into it and you're find a job inside the industry, it's a pretty awesome thing, and then find a job inside the industry with a company that isn't just making bad choices and a part of it because they thought it was going to be the green rush or whatever, this is going to be a long haul, and you better be prepped to do this for a minute before things really get cleared up.
It's a marathon.
Yeah, for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's good you look at it like that. I know that we feel like the same way. We just try to make the right decisions today, and it'll probably work out tomorrow. As corny as that sounds,
I mean, as long as you keep making those incremental steps, I mean, it's gonna be up and down. You know what I mean? But as long as you have that staircase, I guess, and you have a vision. See it through, you can make it happen.
Yep, seems like it. Well, we talked about events and the brand feel and all that stuff. Let me tell you, we are flattered when you guys come to our events and put on, you just put a cool shine on what we're doing, whether it's, bringing out the lowrider in the booth at Parts and Labor, which is always well received, or now, man, the Kernville joint rolling is, I think, it's the coolest event we've ever had, and that one goes off, man, and it's just.
How are you gonna step it up?
I don't know if we can.
We just have to keep doing it.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can. But I mean, it all starts with like your openness and willingness to have us. Again, I reach out to so many events that I would love to be at, but they just don't know how to approach or handle the cannabis industry yet. They don't know how we're going to act when we're there. But I think, us obviously having a relationship before and knowing us, I think helped. And so like your openness and willingness to allow us to be there, be respectful, but then, spread our wings a little bit at places like Kernville when we can. It's been great, but I use you guys as an example all the time. I'm like, listen, it just takes someone like Builtwell to be open to having us out there. And then now you get to use it as like all our events also have a cannabis sponsor associated with them. So, you know, people get to come out to your events and are about what we do. Cherry on top, you know. Kernville, you get welcomed with your little goodie bags, and at the end of the lines, there's free pre-roll, you know. So it's an experience.
Well, you guys add a cool shine. I mean, not everybody we work with, you know, can we say they do that, you know. Some of our sponsors we just need they bring loot, we need their loot, you know, but some of you guys bring
Shout out 805.
Yeah.
God.
Dang. Yeah. Let me keep going. Yeah, you guys put a cool little shine on what we're doing, so we're stoked. And in those events, defense that you're talking about that really don't know what to do, man, as an event guy, dude, sometimes you just run out of ideas, and you just you rely on you know, the guys you're working with to come up with something unique. You know, tell me what you want to do, Joey. You know, and I think we've done a little bit of that.
We've had fun.
Although the weed rolling idea did come from me and Josh. We were at an event and they were talking about them doing weed rolling. But dude, they made it so nerdy. They had like a timed thing and made it all these rules. I'm like, dude, that sounds.
Ours is a little loose.
Dude, the rule is how about roll it, light it, smoke it.
Yeah,
that's the rules.
But it's also there's got to within reason. It's got to be smokable. I mean, some of the
that's why we have
toilet paper rolls we see sometimes.
That's why we have you judging.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And you know what a joint should look like.
Yeah, but, that's a fun one, man.
The rules are.
Shout out to Chopper John, Chopper Dave.
The winner?
Yeah. Chopper John. He's won a few times, right?
Yeah. It's funny thing. This industry is so small. He knows the son of one of our guys that works with us.
I'm sure.
Vance.
Oh, really?
You know that story?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Chopper John, man, that old lady that won it, she might have won it. Either she won it one year or her daughter won it the next year, you know.
I just saw her at, she came up to the booth at Chopper Fest, actually, last weekend.
And that's what's cool, too. You make new friends everywhere, you know? Yeah. It's wild.
From Kern, I mean, especially from Kernville, man. You get 1,000 people a year or whatever at that thing. And
1,300.
Holy cow, man. Yeah, like that. People definitely know us from the attendance of that one for sure. That's a good time.
Yeah, it's customer facing, and those are with the most important taste makers out there, man. They're actually riding their motorcycles. You know, they didn't just walk up to some booth at Chopper Fest, you know, because they wanted to kill a Sunday. You know, they actually rode there, and you know, they're out there dunking their junk and twisting a fatty and riding and having a good time. You know, so they're the ones that, in my opinion, you know, they matter.
Yeah, no, for sure. So no, it all starts with just companies like you guys just being open to having us. So.
Well, it's bouncing those ideas off each other, which is why I think we need to go ride dirt bikes maybe next week in Ocotillo after this rain stops, so we can bounce ideas off each other. You know what I mean?
Done.
Channel and commingle our creative juices, if you will.
Let's do it.
Sounds a little weird, but I think we need to do that. And I think next week's going to be good if this rain is dumping half as well in Ocotillo as it is out here the last couple of days. And finally, that place will be looking fun again. It's been chopped up and not been great this whole year. I think we've been working with you guys for, I think this is year 4. 3, 4?
Probably 4.
Yeah,
I started it before you came in. Like I started like the year before that.
Yeah.
So, I think this
year will be our, I think in person, our, I think 4th or 5th at Kernville.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is crazy to think about, but yeah.
We got some stuff coming up with you guys. We got some little collab stuff, you know, so we're doing a little more with you. We want to continue to, you know, grow that relationship and keep doing fun stuff, and we're always open to ideas that you guys have, you know. So sitting down in a room like this is, I think, advantageous once in a while, or a lunch, a little taco meeting. I know Johnny's busy raising kids and cattle, you know, and Joey's also doing the same thing. He got a flock of youngsters out there in Oceanside. He's teaching them how to be good little booger pickers and motorcycle enthusiasts. But I think we need to get together a little bit more, you know, and where it's not so much work stuff and just, you know,
definitely
break bread a little bit.
Yeah, no, well, for sure. I think I'm just looking forward to the year. We got more events stacked up than ever before.
100's coming up. You're racing, right?
We'll be racing again the 100.
Joey's raced the 100
every year.
Every year.
Yeah. No, big fan of that event for sure.
Yeah.
That's
what are we doing different? What are we doing?
Hopefully just rolling out deeper is what I'd like to do. It's a 2-day event this year. So, maybe put a little bit more into the activation now that it's not so just 1 day of racing.
Yeah, just didn't quit it. And maybe there's a little bit more for you.
Yeah. But it is a tough one. Again, being out in the federal land out there, right? We can't.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's one of the places we got to be a bit respectful with product.
Because federally, it's still
Remember
quite
Vegas?
illegal. Yeah, you tell the Vegas story. Tell the Vegas story.
You could probably tell it better, dude. I was hungover as hell.
We got in trouble for flying Jones and smoking weed out in federal land, and you guys got tickets. I wasn't doing either, but
just guilty by association.
Man, yeah, federal land is a different. We learned that there's a distinction, even though you might be in a state where marijuana is legal. If you're on federal land,
But they're so adamant about it. That's what I was so like. We're in the desert. No one's out here. We're like in a spot where
What is it?
nothing
no
there.
one should be surprised when cops act like cops. You know what I mean? They're just that's their job is to be. They got picked on in 3rd grade. Just trying to get back. So,
But that
was a good story. That was a
I'll
good
never
time.
forget that one.
Yeah, I forgot about it till right now. Flynn won't forget it either.
But
You pay that ticket off? Worked.
Didn't you guys pick this guy up on the side of the road too, on the way to the?
No, we left him actually.
Left him on the
Yeah,
side of the
you
road.
tell that
That's what it
story.
was.
You know that one better than me.
Oh, so that's how I met you in the first place.
Yeah.
My first EDR run, I had this, sporty chopper or whatever, and it kept cutting out. The gas, fuel wasn't getting to the carb or whatever. And I pulled over a couple of times. The last time I pulled over, you guys were behind us. Well, I was coming home from Ensenada.
Yeah,
I think, and
Ensenada.
we were coming
Yeah,
back up through like Tecate or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was pulled over on the side of the road, and you guys pulled over to help me out, and I talked to you, and you guys had the sunscreen,
Yeah.
and on the keychain, and that thing exploded all over the sissy bar bag everywhere, and I didn't know who you guys were at the time, and I was talking all this, stuff on the sunscreen and this company that made this, and come to find out, I was talking to the guy.
The guy that made
But I think you said something about, was your gas cap, this, that, and the other, and then, we couldn't fix it, and you guys split, so it wasn't much help, but I got home.
Yeah.
So
I think you said, does AAA come down here? I'm like, man, you're in Baja. AAA doesn't come down here. I said, you're 50 miles from the border. You got an iPhone? Figure it out. You know?
Yeah.
We stopped the first time, and then your bike shut off again. And my buddy's like, you going to stop again? I'm like, dude, I only stopped once. Mm-hmm. And he can figure it out. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
And you figured it out.
But that was the
Here
first
you are.
time. Yeah, that was the first
You
time
got
I
more
met
F-350s than me, so you win, Jonathan. So don't be sad.
you. I'm not.
I'm not.
But I made it home.
But yeah, same with Lauren, right? Lauren's got an EDR story with you guys.
Oh, yeah, I think her exhaust pipe fell off, right? We had to ride next to her. Her bike was, insufferably loud, no
I
one
do
could hear
remember that
nothing.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with EDR, man. Anything could happen. It's just
You're going to get a story out of EDR every year.
definitely.
Coming up in a couple months. So if
Definitely.
you want a story, join us.
Yeah.
First weekend of May, we'll be down in San Felipe doing what we do.
So that was a long time ago, but yeah, kept it going.
Yep. Well, we'll wrap it up. If you guys got time, I'd love to get lunch with you on the company card.
Let's do it. Yeah,
Let's do it. All right.
Good.
Thanks for, I think this will be episode 4 or 5 or 6 of the Parts of Labor podcast. Jonathan, Joey, Claybourne Company, we appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you for having us, man.
Talk
Thank you
soon.
so much.
Of course.
Later.
Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Parts and Labor Podcast brought to you by Biltwell. You got any feedback? You got any questions? Send us a voice recording or an email at pod@biltwellinc.com. That's pod@biltwellinc.com.